Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Christine Galvan, live in our Weslaco studios.
And I'm Rudy Mireles, live in Laguna Heights, where just 2.5 days or so ago an EF1 tornado touched down and devastated this area of the Laguna Madre region here in Cameron County. And we wanted to kind of take you around the area and show you some things that we're seeing here on the ground. This white vehicle, for example, it's filled with bags of trash and other things from inside that building behind it at the moment. But you can see there clearly, plainly, that the windows have just been completely blown out by debris. And this is kind of give you an idea of the danger of that. Here is a piece from another vehicle. There's glass still attached to this window tint, and you can see it. Imagine that glass flying at you as this thing comes out, and that is exactly what the woman and her nephews who lived, I should say, in this home right behind me. You can see those glass windows blown out there. Take a listen to what she experienced during the tornado.
Entonces, en cuanto ya se viene más recio, más recio, más recio, y se oye fum, 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 y el cimbrar de las ventanas, y en cuanto yo le digo, levántate, levántate, al levantarnos nos pegan los vidrios por atrás.
¿Te pegaron el vidrio?
El vidrio de las ventanas.
Now, this entire neighborhood right off of Highway 100, I'm on Taylor Ave right now here in Laguna Heights, but this entire neighborhood just saw so much destruction and so much damage. And it's not really damage at this point, it's destruction. Homes just completely gone. As you can see behind me, crews still continue the recovery process as they get ready. But right here is a good example. 2 minutes, that's how long this twister lasted, 2 minutes. And it was on this path diagonally through this neighborhood towards that water tower over there, and over by that water tower is where we find our Cassandra Garcia. She joins us live now also here in Laguna Heights. And Cassandra, we know a lot of these folks don't have a home to go back to. Do you know where they're mostly staying tonight? Thank you, Cassandra. We will check back in with you later on at 6 p.m. tonight. I'm joined now by Point Isabel ISD Superintendent Terry Capistan. I know you've had a very busy day, so thank you so much for making the time to talk to us. Tell us a little bit about how this is impacting your school district. We know a lot of folks here in this neighborhood attend, a lot of students in your schools. Tell us a little bit about how many there are impacted.
Absolutely. We have approximately 350 students from our both elementary campuses, junior high and high school, that live in the Laguna Heights area. So we have quite a few students that live in this community.
We know this community is a very tight-knit community. We've seen in the past when severe weather happens, Point Isabel ISD stepping up to help folks, not just that have kids in the school district, but folks living in the community. Tell us a little bit about the impact that this has had on not just your students, but your staff as well.
So obviously when we heard about what happened on Saturday, we immediately grouped together, and once our students were housed and found out where they were at, many of them have been placed at a local hotel because, as you can see, they lost everything. We immediately went and took them some hot food, some coloring books, just to get their minds off of this terrible ordeal that they lived through. We delivered some groceries and again supper on Saturday and on Sunday. Our staff immediately stepped up and wanting to help out. Every campus collected some items, some monetary donations, just to provide the families with some immediate temporary relief.
All right. And is there anything that folks at home that are watching, is there anything they can maybe drop off to the school district, anything that they can do from home to help you all out?
So the greatest need right now is not just their shelter, and we're working with several of the organizations to provide them not just temporary but long-term assistance. We know that many of them lost all of their clothing. So Walmart gift cards are really beneficial because our families are able to buy groceries and any of their personal belongings, clothing, literally personal undergarments that folks lost everything. So we are working with our families. We've identified them. Some of our students came to school today, and many of them are very traumatized over what they lived and saw on Saturday, where our district is also providing them with counseling services, and we're going to be here as long as we need to.
All right, thank you so much, Terry Capistan with Point Isabel ISD. That's it for us for now, Christine. We're going to have a lot more coming up on Channel 5 News at 6. Until then, live in Laguna Heights, Rudy Mireles, Channel 5 News. Back to you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Christine Galvan, live in our Weslaco studios.
And I'm Rudy Mireles, live on location at Fort Brown in Brownsville, where thousands of migrants just about a half mile behind me here have been entering our country without permission between the ports. It is dark out here tonight, but we do want to show you what's happening right now at the border as COVID-related immigration restrictions officially end at 11 p.m. our time, which is just about 59 minutes away from now. Now, Chief Photographer Mark Vecchio is going to zoom in and show you what's going on behind us here. That is about 50 feet behind us here, and this is one of the buildings here at Fort Brown in Brownsville, and you can see there a group of migrant men, adult men, sitting in there. There's two state troopers right in front of them blocking that entranceway, but these guys have been here since before we got here. We arrived here at about 8:15 this evening after our 6 p.m. newscast, and they've been waiting here. We're not sure what stage of the process they're in. We're not sure if they've already been processed and they're waiting for transportation, or if they are still in the processing phase before they get that bus ticket out of here. But to just kind of give you an example of how close everything that's happening here is to where people live and where they work and where they literally play, take a look at what we saw here earlier today. Here at Fort Brown, you can see processing continues as we reach just under 3 hours away from the lifting of Title 42. You can see in that building here next to the old golf course is just filled with migrants. We're not quite sure if they're getting ready to be processed or if these are individuals who have already been processed. But you can see the operation going down all the way down to those buildings down there. You can see emergency services is here, Border Patrol, DPS, National Guard troops, but just 250 feet away. And it's pretty incredible, actually. You can see over here at Texas Southmost College's Scorpion Ball Field, we've got a Little League game going on. Again, just 250 feet or so away from that building we just showed you packed with migrants. Now, this last push to cross the river before 11 p.m. isn't just affecting migrants and law enforcement. And we've heard from a number of you living, working, playing in downtown Brownsville about safety concerns and city resources. And we want to show you what downtown Brownsville looked like tonight. When we were coming into Brownsville, not a whole lot of action. There were people walking around downtown, migrants walking around, some kind of just crossing the street wherever they wanted, no matter what the light was, the traffic light was given for the cars driving by. But right now, we're seeing a very heavy law enforcement presence down there by the Gateway International Bridge. And it's not just local PD. We saw units from San Benito Police Department and other places, and we hear more are coming. We're working to confirm that with both the local police department and those departments that we saw that have units out there. And we even saw here where we're at now at the Migrant Processing Center, right before we came on the air, we saw Hidalgo County Sheriff's units and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's, what looked like the jailer van coming and then going shortly after arriving. We did take your concerns to Brownsville Police spokesperson Martin Sandoval, and here is what he told us earlier today.
A lot of people are panicking and seeing about how are we safe in our city. The Brownsville Police Department is not changing any tactics. We're still going to all our calls. Citizens will still receive the same service they've been receiving before. I would like to reassure the citizens of our city that we are still functioning at our full capacity and the services are not to be interrupted.
So the message for Brownsville residents tonight is that everything, especially down at the police department, is operating as normal. But again, we're still working to find out what that increased presence is down by the Gateway International Bridge as we approach that literal 11th hour tonight. But they are asking folks to just avoid the bus station and avoid that Adams Street area if possible.
It is more than likely going to be very packed. There's going to be a lot of people trying to get their bus tickets or trying to get buses to get out of there. If you have no reason to be at the bus station, do not go to the bus stations. It's not simply because, oh, safety concerns. It's just simply because it's going to be overwhelmed with a lot of people, and it's going to take more time.
Christine, and that is the latest that's happening here in Brownsville. For now, we'll check back in with you later, but for now, back to you. Today, thousands flocking to coastal Cameron County to witness a historic event. SpaceX Superheavy Starship, the biggest rocket in history, taking flight from Boca Chica, a feat that wasn't without its roadblocks. Tonight, a look back at the road from Boca Chica to eventually Mars. Plus, the economic changes coming from a rocket build and launch facility in our own backyard.
That SpaceX invested $430 million on operations, including payroll, construction, and capital improvements in Cameron County alone last year.
Jobs from Boca Chica to Port Isabel to Brownsville, longtime employers boosting their staff, and new businesses opening up shop.
SpaceX is our lifeline, so as they have, launches, we have business. So we sort of depend on each other. Well, we don't depend on each other, but we certainly depend on them.
Our Stephanie Rosales is standing by with a live report on the economic impact to deep South Texas. Also ahead, the most vulnerable neighbors next door, and the voices standing up for them.
What are the risk factors that they've been examining? What are the safety issues they've been examining?
The continuing concerns as the space exploration company puts our wildlife system potentially in harm's way. We have a lot to unpack and only 30 minutes to do it. Our special coverage of this historic test flight from the Boca Chica SpaceX facility starts right now. Today was a historic day, not just for folks here in the Rio Grande Valley, but possibly humanity as a whole, as the biggest rocket known to man took its next steps into possibly putting humans on Mars. Thanks for joining us for this special coverage of the Starship Superheavy's first test flight. I'm Rudy Mireles, and joining me now is Chief Meteorologist Tim Smith. And I wanted to start with you, Tim, because you have been here for every single one of these launches, starting with that trash can, the Star Hopper, right, the first time it went up. What are your thoughts? All right, Tim. Well, we'll check in with you in just a few minutes here. Right. But for now, let's get back to what happened here today. Now, we know that the safety systems on the Starship ended up blowing the rocket up about 20 miles or so off the coast of South Padre Island. But regardless, SpaceX is still considering this test a success. And the reason for that is because it is the first time that it has launched the Super Heavy booster into flight, and it accomplished that on the first time, which has garnered a lot of reaction from supporters of the company, but also reaction from those opposed to a rocket build and launch facility right in our backyard. Still ahead, over the last few years, several businesses have changed to adapt to the needs at SpaceX. Our Stephanie Rosales is standing by with the economic impact the company's had in the region. And while the economy is growing from SpaceX, so are concerns from environmental groups. Why they worry for public safety and our wildlife. Those stories up next as this Channel 5 News special report continues live from Port Isabel. Stay with us.